What's up, everybody? This is Caleb TGD, and this is a quick and easy guide into getting into your Assassination Rogue for Season 1 of The War Within. First of all, I want to give a special shout out to Whisper, who is the main Assassination Rogue theory crafter for Wowhead, the guide writer, and also one of the key contributors in the Ravenhold Discord. I am a returning rogue. I used to be more of a healer, but his guides and his information and theory crafting has really helped me get back into it. And this is what the gist of this guide is trying to do, to get you guys fast tracked into running your Assassination Rogue straight into Mythics and into raiding. You can check out a link to his guide and to his YouTube videos in the description below. All right, first things first. You want to focus on Critical Strike and Mastery as your primary, secondary stats. Of course, eye level trumps everything, especially in the beginning of an expansion and the beginning of the season. But once you start to gear up and get the pieces that you need, you'll definitely want to focus on these to give your rogue the best bang for its buck. Alright, now the Assassination Rogue has two hero trees they can choose from, the Deathstalker and the Fatebound. Now for the Deathstalker, the main mechanic of this is if you are ambushing from stealth, you will apply a Deathstalker's mark to your target. When you spend 5 or more combo points against that target, it will consume that application of Deathstalker, dealing damage to it. You will have 3 charges of it, and you may only have 1 target marked at a time. Now what happens is the Darkest Night buff will be consumed once you actually do a full Envenom at maximum combo points, and it will reapply to the target. Now this is simming currently higher than Fatebound, but Fatebound is less maintenance, and it's something that you can play in lower Mythic Plus keys if you're looking to do a little bit more less trying to juggle your buffs. So the mechanic for Fatebound is you flip a Fatebound coin every time you use a finishing move that has 5 or more combo points. If it's heads, it increases the damage of your attacks by 10%. Or if it's tails, it will do cosmic damage to your target. Now for the capstone, it's also a passive. When you do flip your coin in the same face for the 7th time in a row, it will give you an increase of agility until you leave combat for 10 seconds. If you already have a lucky coin, it will instead do cosmic damage. Now, the differences between these two are you are juggling another buff in Deathstalker. Like I said, though, it is simming, and it is more than likely going to be a better option for you in single target, thinking tyrannical bosses, raid bosses. It definitely is the preferred spec for raiding, but also Fatebound, like I said, is a lot easier. And if you're trying to get into your rogue, it's something that is a passive and you'll still benefit from it. And of course, with the lower level mobs in the lower Mythic Plus dungeons, they have less health, so you'll be able to take advantage of the Fatebound passives. Alright, so this is the recommended build for Deathstalker, single target, and raid. As you can see, there's more of a focus on the left side of the bottom of the talent tree, with talents such as Blindside, Zolvik's Recipe, and Arterial Precision. Of course, there is no AoE like Crimson Tempest or Throne Precision, and you are taking Internal Bleeding instead of Caustic Splatter, which is just an additional bleed that you can have on the target, since the single target does really focus on the bleed aspect of it. Now, heading over to a more Mythic Plus build, you see that the right side of the tree is filled out a little bit more. You have the most important talent in Mythic Plus as far as Assassination Rogue is Indiscriminate Carnage. And what it does is your bleeds such as Garrote and Rupture actually apply to 2 additional enemies when used from stealth and for 6 seconds after stealth. This is the fastest way to spread your bleeds out while you're in Mythic Plus dungeon, and of course that does pick up Crimson Tempest, which is a huge finishing move that does AoE dot damage to your targets, and right now it is pumping and doing loads of damage. as you can see in my overall here in this last dungeon I did, Crimson Tempest was the top AoE damage, and also Sudden Demise is a bleed talent passive that increases your bleed damage by 10%. And what happens is sort of a execute where targets below 35% health are actually instantly bled out and it'll take extra damage. So those two talents combined actually really are powerful together and does have really good synergy. So this is the Fatebound Mythic Plus build, and this is more of an easy mode sort of play. You don't have to worry about juggling the Deathstalker's mark or applying it with ambush. A lot of times tanks are going to be chain pulling, and you're going to have issues with trying to get back into stealth, and the Deathstalker's mark is only going to be used by ambush from stealth, so you have to sort of pivot. So this is a lot more passive, and you're getting the benefits of the talents without having to go into stealth. And I will talk a little bit more about how assassin rogues can find a way to still do a lot of damage while they're in Mythic Plus if they're caught out of stealth. And all of these talent builds are in the Wowhead guide. I will also link them in the description of this video. Okay, so let's get into the Deathstalker's single target rotation and opener. So obviously you always kind of want to start from stealth, and the best poisons to use are always deadly, amplifying poison, and then whatever non-lethals you want to put up. Atrophic poison we don't have, so we'll just do some crippling and numbing. And that is because we are using Dragon Temper Blades. We're able to apply an extra poison on our weapons. So you always want to start with applying your mark, and by doing that you will ambush. So you go ambush into Garrote, into Rupture, and then you will slice and dice. You'll Echoing Reprimand, and then you'll Fan of Knives for the Clear the Witnesses buff. You'll Envenom. Then you'll Death Mark, you'll Shiv, you'll go into a Kingsbane, you'll Envenom, then you'll Mutilate, Envenom, and then you Vanish, improve Garrote, Rupture, and then this'll T. And what you're going to do is you're going to reapply the Death Mark by putting a full set of combo points, and then you just go right into your rotation. The main thing about Assassination Rogues are you want to maintain both of your bleeds, being Garrote and Rupture. So there is something called a pandemic window. So what that is around 6 seconds and below you can apply your dots again, and it will add to your dots. So that's the main thing of Assassination Rogue is you want to keep your dots up. Your Slice and Dice will stay up because of the passive talent Cut to the Chase, so you don't have to worry about that. You also want to Echoing Reprimand on cooldown. And the other thing is the rogues, Assassination Rogues, have two sort of cooldowns. There's the major cooldowns, and then there's like a mini cooldown phase, very similar to like an Arcane Mage. And what that is you want to line up your death mark with your Kingsbane and your Shiv. That's every 2 minutes. And then every minute you'll want to have a Shiv available for your Kingsbane. Now in this spec that I'm in, Mythic Plus, I only have one charge of the Shiv. And what is going to happen is if you spec into lightweight Shiv, you'll have two charges of Shiv, and what you want to do is you want to make sure that the Shiv buff is on the target the whole time of your Kingsbane window. So now that we're going right into the phase again for damage, we're going to try this again. So I'll show you. So you're going to Death Mark, Envenom just to get the buff up, Shiv and Kingsbane, right? And you're just doing your thing or whatnot. So because you halfway through Kingsbane, like right here, you would Shiv again if I was in the single target spec. And what that would do is that would cover your whole Kingsbane and buff all of its damage. Okay, so this is the single target rotation in action. So I get my Garrote and my Rupture up, my Slice and Dice, I Death Mark, and then I Envenom, I Shiv at Kingsbane, and then I Envenom again, and I make sure to Shiv again to get the second half of the Kingsbane to keep the buff going for the extra bleed poison damage. And then I also Vanish to improve Garrote again, and then I am Mutilating and just Envenoming. Now, right now, I am Fate Bound spec, so I didn't have to worry about Deathstalker's Mark in this particular Mythic Plus, but you would apply the Deathstalker's Mark once you hit maximum combo points in Envenom, and as you can see, the burst damage is pretty high. I'm doing a lot of single target damage on the boss there. So this is how you AoE as a Assassination Rogue. So the tank said he's going to pull the whole thing. So I'm just waiting because I want to get a good chunk of packs to spread my Garrote as I'm doing here. And I'm Garroting 3, 6, 9 targets. I'm also then rupturing 2 to 3 extra packs, and I will Fan of Knives, and then I will Crimson Tempest. And now my improved Garrote is gone, so I can't spread my dots, but I'm going to single target a couple of ruptures on here. I'm also going to Fan of Knives and also reapply Crimson Tempest to the mobs that I miss, and then I'm just going to start my Caustic Splatter, meaning I'm going to cool down into a prio target like this big mob here, Shiv, Kingsbane, get the splatter damage on the other mobs, and as you can see, there is a lot of AoE damage that I'm doing right now. So the biggest thing is you don't want to rely just on your bleeds. You need to make sure you have faith in your poisons, and especially in Caustic Splatter, especially if you have cooldowns like your Shiv and Kingsbane. So as you can see, we melted that pack right there, and I wasn't stealth. I was always stealth like maybe 6 seconds into that fight, and I was still able to spread all the dots I needed. The biggest thing you want to remember as an Assassination Rogue is that your bleeds are your lifeline in terms of your energy. If you don't have the energy, you don't have the ability to do any damage or do any of your abilities at all. So that is the biggest thing you want to learn. And also remember that just because you're not in stealth doesn't mean you can't do AoE damage. You'll get a Rupture up, a Garrote up as best as you can, and then you'll rely on that Caustic Splatter damage. So when you Envenom that mob with the Rupture and the deadly poison, that it'll splash onto other mobs. Finally, let's talk a little bit about gear. So right now it seems like we're going to be stuck in a few Mythic Plus to farm for our best in slot trinkets. We have the Arakara Sac Brood being our S tier. We also have the 2 trinkets from Grim Batal and also from Siege of Borealis, the Skardan's Grace and the Spyglass. So happy hunting with that. And as well as embellishments, it seems to be recommended to craft your wrist and also your boot slot with the Dawn Thread, which is the embellishment that increases your critical strike whenever you're above 80% health. So all in all, I do hope that this guide was an easy introduction into Assassination Rogue. If you haven't played Rogue in a while, or you're interested in taking it up for the upcoming season, which is coming out in less than 2 days, I'm excited about it. I learned that researching is really well, but some people are visual learners, some people are auditory learners, and sometimes reading guides online isn't the best for them. So I do hope that this does help. And of course, disclaimer, I am not a rogue expert. I definitely lean heavily, like I said, on Whisper and the Ravenhold Discord. If I will put the Ravenhold Discord link and all the Wowhead links and everything under the description, and once again the links to Whisper's guides and his YouTube videos. So thank you so much for hanging out. If you found this video to be helpful in any way, please like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate the WoW community, and I just want to give back to it. Alright, so as with any rogue, good luck in poisoning, stabbing, and cheating your enemies, and may you get lots of loot. Take care.